Peanuts are an important crop to people in Africa. Groundnuts, as they are called there, are a part of the local cuisine, add protein to traditional dishes, and give farmers a crop that they can eat at home or sell in the market. But those farmers often don't have fertilizers, pesticides, and irrigation, and must rely on improved varieties to fight against plant diseases and climate change. This is a story of a group of plant breeders from across the continent who work together with the support of USAID and the Feed the Future Innovation Lab for Peanuts to give farmers the quality seed they need to succeed.
Plant breeding is important in West Africa because we have a lot of problems that plague the peanut production. First of them is drought. We are facing shorter rainy season with less water or very erratic rainfall. We also have some disease problem because we have late and early spot here in the region, and we need to adapt the new variety to those conditions.
One of the main requirements to do good breeding of any crop is having diversity. And in Africa, almost every country that grows peanuts had a breeder working on peanut breeding in that country, but they were in isolation. And so their access to diversity that you need to do good plant breeding was really lacking.
So we said there's need for some kind of formalization. And we got lots of interest coming from national programs and coming from some international centers in there. So when we set the scene and we got to know the strength and the weakness of each other program, we now started seeing how best we can help each other like that. So that set the scene for our formal working.
Plant breeders across Africa work together to compile the best peanut varieties grown in their country. Once those 1,000 peanut lines were assembled, researchers at a research center called Seras in Senegal took the DNA from those plants and sent it to the University of Georgia to be analyzed, a process called genotyping.
When we received all the line from the breeders, we harvested the leaves and we extracted the DNA using the Seras facilities. And we extract the DNA for each single line. We purify all the DNA and send all those DNA to UGA at Peggy's lab for the analysis of this DNA.
I have a particular expertise with genotyping peanuts, and so I was brought in to help them facilitate getting that genotyping done and then helping them to analyze the data and putting it in a form that they could then use and make it impactful for their programs.
Once they had an idea of the genes in these peanut lines, researchers picked the most diverse and promising ones and named this group the Core Collection. Plant breeders took these seeds and planted them across the continent to see how they performed in different geographies, sharing knowledge about different lines and tapping into the new genetic diversity they found. Breeders tracked how the plants responded in different environments, a process called phenotyping.
So we multiplied this line such that I'm able to share with my colleagues in Eastern and Southern Africa, and Daniel Fonseca was able to share it in large quantities to his colleagues in Western and Central Africa. Then we said, okay, these are the material at your disposal. Can you test them and see how useful in your agroecology according to the stresses you have at your location? So we tested this set of material over 3 seasons. And then from there, as we talk now, most of those lines have gone into the pipeline to be released. At the end of it all, every season we could sit together, we analyze the data, each country, and then we pull together like a multi-site analysis. So we now pinpoint that, oh, I want to grow this thing in Senegal, these are the set of material which is useful there.
So it's really great that we now have a good understanding how diverse the cultivated peanut varieties are that are being grown and used across Africa.
The new varieties can make a real difference to some of the poorest farmers in the world, facing climate change and a devastating disease called groundnut rosette. These farmers will rely on new peanut varieties in the coming years.
Now we're looking for things like, tolerance for pests and diseases. Now in Uganda, in Eastern Africa, for instance, we have groundnut rosette virus, which is very devastating, can lead to 100% yield loss. We had leaf spot, and then we're also testing them for drought. Some of the lines were high lake lines, especially the one from Ghana and the one from Senegal. Those are novel traits which we didn't have here, so we're also screening them up here.
When you look at most of these, the networks that we have formed, these are countries that have got ecologies that are similar to ours. So you may find even the challenges that we have are quite similar. So when you talk about the rosette virus, it is there in Zambia, it's there in among the partner countries, especially the East and Southern Africa. You talk about leaf spots. So whenever you are having challenges and looking for any germplasm that you can use in your breeding program, in your process, in developing new lines, or you want something to be adopted in your country, it becomes much easier.
The African Plant Breeders named the organization GINA, the Groundnut Improvement Network for Africa, and are adding new countries to respond to problems across Africa and the world. The network now has 13 countries, and in each place is producing new varieties that are resistant to disease and resilient in the face of climate change.
So we started just helping each other out there with the available resources within our program. We find ourselves doing it subconsciously because it was born out of trust and friendship. So it was just kind of thing like that, sharing knowledge, sharing materials, and sharing expertise.
What they were able to learn is that there's even more to gain by working together across Africa. I think the first time we saw that happening was about a year ago, when all of the breeders across Africa got together in Senegal to really analyze all of the results that they had been producing from all of their trials that they've been running on these materials. So as the breeders began to discuss how they were going to work together going forward, they almost spontaneously realized that we could have a name that we could all refer to, and thus formed the Groundnut Improvement Network for Africa, or GINA.
Getting material from Southern and East Africa is something unique, and that was the first time these two regions come together and try to build something across region and for all the continent.
Groundnut Improvement Network for Africa is one of the most profound things that I think I will witness in my life. Individuals from different countries with different priorities, with different groups of people that needed peanuts for different things, coming together and understanding that if they worked together and didn't compete with each other, they could do more for their people than if they were alone.
So being part of this network, which is within areas where you share common problems and you share common traits of interest, has made it very easy for us to really improve and make our breeding program grow even stronger than it used to be before we joined the network.
We think that what we did can be of benefits from more countries than the one that are in GINA. It's a good time for building something that is much more sustainable, because we have the trust, because we work together, because now we harmonize the way we are phenotyping, we harmonize the way we are collaborating, the way we are exchanging material, and we are now a more mature network that I think will be a stand for longer than the way we were working before GINA.